Great. Thank you very much, Coach Bandstra, for having me. My talk today is going to be on incorporating one-word plays into any offense. Currently I am an NZone master coach. I'm going to talk about that in a little second now. So this is geared, particularly how we use it in the NZone offense. But as the title indicates, you can do this in any offensive system. Here's a little bit about me. Again, my name's Keith Fagan. From 2006 to 2017, I worked at New Rochelle High School in New York. I was the quarterbacks, wide receiver, and defensive line coach there. The head coach there was a guy named Lou DiRienzo. He's a legend in New York. He's one of the all-time winningest coaches in the history of New York State football. While I was there, the varsity record, while I was on that staff, was 112-16. So we lost 16 games in 12 years, and again, had very little to do with me and everything to do with the head football coach. But after 12 years, I felt like I wanted to do more. Coach DiRienzo is both the offensive coordinator and the defensive coordinator. He's kind of old school that way. He does both. So I just felt like I wanted to grow as a coach. I wanted to do a little bit more. So with his blessing, I went to a local league school, another team in our league, Mamaroneck High School, became the offensive coordinator there and quarterback coach. And in New York, most teams, if any, do not two platoon. So you coach both sides of the ball. And then this year, New York actually isn't playing football right now. There's not a lot of hope that we're going to play football in 2020, but still kind of holding out there. And so currently right now, I am, looking to get my state certification in New York State to try and get a public school teaching job. So I've decided to take a year off of coaching, but I am heavily involved in the NZone offense, the NZone football system. So I'm currently a master coach at the NZone football system. If it's something you guys out here that are watching this or looking into, I highly recommend it. Obviously, it's www.nzonefootball.com. Has all the information there, and it is a complete true system. So it's a package where you're going to get scheme, you're going to get assistance with that scheme. You're also going to get a just play account where you have a video playbook, but it's more than that. It's think whiteboard sessions with your players, individual tutoring sessions, huddle playbook, and then interactive video explaining all that stuff. You have the ability to test your kids through quizzes and tests on that system. It's pretty good. Even the Just Play system alone, if you're not part of the Just Play system, I would highly recommend that. Here's some of my contact info. My email address is kf21wr@gmail.com. My cell phone, 914-396-3936. Twitter handle is kf21wr, and the NZone football system is at NZone football. Please like and follow. And feel free to contact me anytime via email or just shoot me a text. All right, so let's get into it. Why one-word plays? Why should you be running, or why should you have one-word plays in your offense? Well, first, it allows the offense to operate at an up-tempo speed. We're going to talk a little bit about what exactly is tempo, because you hear that word all the time. I've never heard it defined. Like what compromises tempo? It also allows an offense to add great plays. All of us are watching college or watching either other high schools and we're watching the NFL and we're like, oh my God, that's a great play. But it's not what we do. It's not part of our scheme. It doesn't fit exactly what we're doing, and how many of you guys have coaches on your staff, that, they watch the NFL, they come in, that Monday or something. They're like, oh, coach, I saw this great play. We should be running this play. And you're like, but it doesn't fit what we do. One-word plays allow you to incorporate those into your offense. With creating these great plays, with the ability to have them run on up-tempo, it will create confusion for the defense. They have to get lined up immediately. They have to, get used to lining up to maybe a new formation or getting lined up quickly where maybe you're not a team that just does snap the ball very quickly. And most importantly for me, one-word plays are simpler for the offense, yet it's complicated for the defense. And as offensive coaches, I think that's what we're trying to do, right? We're trying to create things that are extremely simple for our kids on offense, but it makes it extremely difficult for those kids on defense. All right. So let's talk a little bit about tempo. What is tempo? All right. For me, tempo is simply the length of time it takes the play caller to make a decision on what play to call, get that communicated to his players, get lined up, call the cadence, and snap the ball. So that length of time. All right. I want to, for you wing T guys out there, I want to run, I want to run down. So how do I get lined up in the formation it takes, 200 formation, right? 222 down. How do I, once I decide I want to run 222 down, from that time till that ball is snapped, to me, that's tempo. Okay. So I believe there are 3 different types of tempo. Now, this is off a 45-second play clock. If you're going fast, if you are an up-tempo team and you are operating fast, to me, you're snapping the ball with 25 or more on the play clock, or over 25 seconds on the play clock. So 26 seconds or more on the clock, right? Again, you're like, well, that's, 20 seconds. How is that fast? Well, you have to understand that play clock, as soon as that whistle blows that last play dead, they start that play clock. So by the time the official gets a hold of the ball, the umpire, gets a hold of the ball, spots the ball, allows you guys to snap it. Quarterback has gotten the communication, and the players have gotten the communication on what plays to call and then actually snap it. If you're doing that within a 20-second time period, you're going fast, in my opinion. Regular operation, teams that are not up-tempo, maybe they huddle up, maybe they run the play in with a player, maybe they're, signaling system, a wristband system, whatever it is, you're going to snap the ball with between 10 and 25 seconds on the clock. Then if you're going slow, it's with under 10 seconds on the play clock. Now, there are up-tempo teams that do at times want to go slow, namely 4-minute offense. When you're trying to, you have the ball, you're leading, and you want to end the game with the ball. So you're going to try and milk that clock. So one-word plays allow any offense to go fast, whether you're up-tempo or not. All right? So how do you do it? How do you go fast? I think there's 4 easy ways for you to go fast utilizing one-word plays. I'm going to categorize those one-word plays into 4 groups. Repeat plays, mirrored plays, unique plays, and a family of plays. And I'm going to explain all 4 of those. The first is repeat, right? The first way is the simplest of all, and that's just to repeat the previous play. So again, the wing T guys, you're running 222 down. It hits, right? The end doesn't close, or he gets kicked out by the guard. The alley player doesn't fit right, and bang, that thing gets out for 25 yards. You want to run it again. What's to stop you from just yelling out a word to tell your entire offensive personnel, hey, we don't need to huddle. Just line up, run it again. Okay? So that's the easiest, quickest way. That, and that one word can be anything. Teams usually use a repeat theme, Xerox, copy, rerun, echo, etc. The guy I previously mentioned, Lou DiRienzo, a little old school, So his one-word play, do it again. Hey, run that again. So it doesn't have to be sophisticated. It doesn't have to be that complicated. All right. Now, that is a simple way to create your speed of operation, to create how can you get that play communicated to your players as quickly as possible. So it's the simplest way. Okay. It does, however, require all 11 players on the field to hear that communication, right? So there are some issues with it. You're playing in a loud stadium. People play all over the country. In Texas, they got the 6A state championship game coming up. There's going to be 40,000, 50,000 people at that game. So sometimes you just can't hear that issue, okay? What are the benefits? to a repeat play? Well, it's an easy way to speed up that tempo, right? It forces the defense into a basic look, right? Because as a defensive coordinator, you might have singled that play in, and if it's something that you've seen on film, maybe you haven't seen on film, you have to have a plan for it. Or if it's the first time you're seeing it, you're going to tell your kids, just run the same defense. Run the same defense. Well, then you knew what you got, so it's going to be a basic look. It also gives an offense the ability to exploit a structure flaw. So one of the situations that happened with us is we were running trips to the field, obviously single receiver into the boundary. And our opponent they were playing post safety. They were playing, middle of the field close. So they were playing a single high coverage to our trips to the field. But their single high safety was all the way in the middle of the field. He was cheated way over to the trips. So they had no alley player into the boundary. So all our receiver had to do was run the boundary corner off, and there was nobody really left at the second or third level of defense. So we were able to run power read into the boundary because of that structural flaw that the defense ran. So we called power read, trips to the field, power read into the boundary, and it was on the plus 45-yard line that we called the play. That hit all the way down to the 15, right? So 30 yards right off the bat. Well, we just repeated that play because we didn't want the defensive coordinator or the head coach on the other team the opportunity to see the reason why that hit was because their safety was too far over. So to get to communicate to that kid to adjust over. So we repeated the play, ran that right down to the 5-yard line, repeated the play again and scored. Before they were able to call a timeout, before they could even gather their thoughts to call timeout, and before they were able to fix that structural flaw, we were able to run 3 plays in about 10 seconds of game time, 15 seconds of game time, and they weren't able to adjust. So I think that, it allows the offense tremendous advantage. So what are some of the issues? Well, defenses don't react the same way every play. Maybe the read key that we were basing, the original thing on, didn't act the same way or confused the quarterback, or they did a nice job of defeating a block the second time. It doesn't react the same way. You are locked in the previous play, so sometimes you might not want to repeat the play because it was a pass play and it was incomplete. So now it's, second and long, and, you want to get in a better situation with the sticks. So you don't want to call the same play. And you're also limited into your current personnel groupings. So if you're a team that gets in and out of personnel groupings, different personnels, you can't do that with a repeat play. The next word I'm going to talk about, the next concept is a mirrored concept. All right. And I got this from Lincoln Riley at the University of Oklahoma. This was a heavy package for him, a heavy thing he did his first year as head coach when Baker Mayfield was the quarterback. And all it simply is just flipping the play, right? It's the mirrored play. So that does help with some of the issues of a repeat play, right? It gives the defense a different look. It would, cause more confusion. The defense might not understand what they're about to see as far as an offensive standpoint. So an example would be, you call trips right, inside zone left. If you repeated that, you would also run trips right, inside zone left. But you want to call the mirrored play. So you want to go trips left, inside zone right. So trips right, inside zone left. The mirror would be trips left, inside zone right. Okay? So again, what does that look like? So the first play call is on top here. So the play call obviously trips right, inside zone left. You call out mirror, mirror, mirror. Now you go trips left, inside zone right. Okay. So what are the benefits to that? Well, it does allow the offense to run the play into the best look. For example, if you're running that trips right, inside zone left, and now you come out again in that trips right formation, a lot of times the defense will be able to better react or better adjust to that formation. And, maybe they overload, or, they sell out, they run the front opposite the trips. They tilt the secondary towards the trips. So it wouldn't be a best look to run right into that look again. Best call for the offense to run into that look again. So now you can run it into the best look. And it does appear to be a different play to the defense. They're like, oh my God, how is this team running all these plays so rapidly, just using a one-word system? Well, it does appear to be a different play. All right. What are some of the issues? Well, with the high school hash marks, even college or pro hash marks, it kind of gets a little confusing when the ball switches hash marks. For example, on this, trips right, inside zone left, the first play. Well, what happened if that ball cut back and now we're on the right hash, right? Well, the opposite play, so the first one we had trips to the field. The second one, if it stayed on the same hash, we have trips into the boundary. But now the ball switches hash marks. So now the ball is on the right hash. Well, the opposite play, we still have trips to the field. So it really didn't switch up the formation. We had trips to the field one way. Now we have the mirrored play would be trips to the field the other way. And in the original play call, we ran trips into the boundary. Now the ball's on the other hash. We're still running trips in. So it's the same play. So the mirrored play becomes the same play if the ball switches hashes. And hopefully that makes some sense to you. But again, and if it doesn't, then you can understand what your kids would think. So it kind of gets confusing. The other problem, the other issue with a mirrored play is, in fact, it's a different play for the offensive line. When we call out position groups, of course, you got skill and, semi-skill, and then everybody's, O-line. We call them elite. So we have skill and we have elite, because we want to make those guys feel good. They have the hardest job on the field. They're the hardest thing to do in sports. This is the hill I'll die on. The hardest thing to do in sports is block another human being. Some guys will say it's hitting a major league fastball, but again, I got that's a different clinic. But so the elite have to execute a different play, because inside zone left and inside zone right are two different plays. You're like, but wait a minute, it's still inside zone. Well, try telling your left tackle that he does the same thing on inside zone left and inside zone right. Well, that's two different things that kid has to know. That's two different plays. All right. So I do have some video that I'd like to go over. So the first clip is, first of all, we are an up-tempo offense team. So we want to go fast all the time. And the biggest compliment, if you're an up-tempo team, or even if you incorporate these one words into your offense, the biggest compliment you can get is the biggest way that your players are keyed in, your players are understanding what you're trying to get accomplished, and you're able to get yourself accomplished, is if your camera guy is constantly late. If your camera guy is not starting the video on time. And, if you notice here, the video starts a little late, and you're going to see that's on a consistent basis here. But so here's a play. We come out in two back, okay, and we're going to run inside zone to the field, right? So as you see already, we got a quick screen as the RPO kind of pre-snap before the play, and then we're going to run inside zone, two back inside zone to the right here or to the field. So we run the play and it hits. It's a big time play, okay? And the back cuts back, but we get a big play here, okay? And if you notice there, the center is saying, hey, let's run this again. The center is like, that's how you know your kids are in tune. The kids are like, repeat it, let's go, okay? So we do. We call the repeat play. On the very next snap, we repeat the call. Okay. Well, the defense kind of knew. The defense overloaded to attack the inside zone. So you can see all these players are just, as soon as that back left, they're all taken off and they're essentially ignoring the quarterback. Okay? So they're selling out for the inside zone. Okay? So now we want to run the opposite play. So now we call the mirrored play. The quarterback keeps it, gets all the way down to the 5-yard line. Now those were literally, and then it caused the coach to call a timeout. Those were literally in this game 3 consecutive plays. Okay, so we went from the minus 33-yard line, the minus 33-yard line, all the way down to the plus 5 in 3 consecutive plays. And it forced the other team, to call a timeout. And it was as simple as we signaled in the first play, then the second play was verbal, the third play was verbal, as one-word calls, okay? So those do, I believe, add tremendous value to your offense. Just the simple thing is repeating the play and then doing the mirrored play, right? The third category I'd like to talk about are unique plays. Those are the plays where, your staff comes to you or, your coaches come to you and say, Coach, I saw this great play the Kansas City Chiefs ran. We should be running this play. And it's not anything you do. Well, you have a mechanism now to incorporate that into your offense. So I call those unique plays. I call them unique one-word plays. It's not something that is part of your everyday offense. If you are a wing T guy and, you want to go shotgun 1 back 4 wide, well, now you have a mechanism to quickly do that, get in and out of those plays, right? And it's not something your kids have to kind of remember, oh, wait a minute, what do I do here? What do I do there? Why? Because you're going to teach that entire play as a concept. You're not going to call it anything. So if it is that example of you're a wing T team, you're going to line up under center, fullback behind the quarterback. Even if you're old school, you got a back parallel to the fullback. If you're more of a new school guy, you got 2 wing backs. Okay. So getting in shotgun, single back, 4 wide is really not something you do. Well, now you're going to tell, hey, right halfback, go split out. Left halfback, go split out. Tight end, go move out. Okay, so now you're in your 4 wide. You're not giving that a formation name. You're not telling them what to do. Offensive line, you're giving them the pass blocking, right? And then you're telling the receivers what routes to run. You're telling the quarterback what his progression is, what his reads are. And that's how the play goes in. Call that Chiefs. Call that Fagan. Call that Bandstra. Call it whatever you want. Okay, because that's going to give it one name. So the one word talks to the concept, not the scheme. So the kids understand the play as a concept, right? And the beautiful thing about that is, again, that concept can be a unique formation and a unique scheme because you're teaching it all at the same time, right? And the great things about the unique play is the offense is able to execute any formation, any scheme that's not part of your offense. You can incorporate the best parts of every offense out there into your offense as a unique play. All right. So, what are the benefits? Like I said, it's unlike anything in your offense. That makes it very difficult for the defense to prepare. Okay. If they've been drilling all week how to line up to a tight end wing, and all of a sudden there's no tight end wing there, that increases the difficulty level for that defense. It allows the offense to become multiple, right? When one of the hurdles of a wing T offense is when they put 8 in the box. Well, you want to leave 8 in the box when there's 4 wide out there. Good luck. So it allows you to become more of a multiple offense. And here's the best part. So the defense has to practice against that. So if they see it on film, if a defensive coordinator sees something on film, they have to prepare their kids for it, right? When I say ghosts, what I mean is if you're a wing T team, and option just isn't really part of what you do. So you don't really have down option. You don't have belly option. It's just not part of what you're doing, right? Well, defensive coordinators, if they know that, they're not going to prepare their kids for down and down option or, slant option. They're going to prepare their kids for slant down or down pass or slant pass. Different guys call it, different things that, down, guard, same side guard, kick out the end, fullback, off tackle, or off tight end. So they're not going to prepare their team for that. But if you run down option 2-3 times a game, that defensive coordinator has to prepare those kids. He's got to teach that alley player that he's got to run the alley. They have to do it. So if you are using these one-word plays in your offense, you might run 3 or 4 of them, but you don't run them every week. You don't run the 3 or 4 a week. Maybe you run one last week, and then 2 weeks later maybe you run it, or you run this unique play that week, and you don't run it for a couple of weeks. As long as it's on film multiple times, the defense still has to prepare for it, even though you might not call it in the game. All right. Now, what are the issues? Okay. It does become expensive. Unique plays do get to be expensive. It's because the play is anything like your offense, so you have to take team time to practice it. You have to take away from running your base offense as a team, and you have to practice these unique plays, okay? And that's what I'm talking about, expensive, about practice time. How much practice time are we spending on this play, okay? And it's a limited menu, right? Conventional wisdom says that if this is not part of what you do, if you're not going to major in unique plays, you could probably carry about 6 of them. You better have about, kids can usually remember about 6 unique plays. What do I do on this? What do I do on that, as not part of their regular operation, right? So you usually, guys I know that don't major in this but still do it, they tell me that they can carry about 6 in their offense. What we did, because we majored in it, we were able to carry 22. So we had 22 unique plays. Now, but we do practice them every week. We have a 10-minute period every Wednesday. We call it One Word Wednesday. So every Wednesday, we're going to practice all our unique plays, right? We don't really, we do throw in the mirrors too, because again, it does get confusing a little bit, but we're not going to practice the repeat plays. I just do that during team periods, right? So I have my script where we're calling the plays, and then I just randomly will yell out, repeat, repeat, repeat. So the kids get used to just running the same play again. We're not going to take a separate segment, practice that, but we are going to take a separate segment to practice our unique and our families. So unique and families get its own 10-minute period every week, all right? And you'd be surprised, because it's only in one word, 22 plays. We actually, the best we ever got is we got through, in that 10-minute period, we went through our 22 script 2.5 times. So we ran 33 plays in 10 minutes, right? So we were flying that day. The kids were in tune, and that's versus air. We don't have a scout defense when we do this period. The whole one-word play period is during air, all right? So we talked about watching games, right? So this is when Kyler Murray was at Oklahoma. You're sitting there on, if you play Friday night, you go through your practices. Maybe the late afternoon game is Oklahoma versus Oklahoma State. It's a great rivalry game. You want to check that out. And Oklahoma gets into the red zone, and Kyler Murray comes out, and Lincoln Riley calls this play. And you're seeing this, you're like, oh, wow, this is crazy. Oh, man, look at that, walk-in touchdown. That's insane. And you understand how the defense was manipulated on this call. So, obviously, here, they have 11 guys within 3 yards or 4 yards of the football, right? And they have a middle linebacker that's going to be unblocked, right? So up front, They got 7 guys up front. We only have 6. So the front, they have an unblocked defender, plus the middle linebacker is going to be unblocked, right? So maybe the 27, the fullback, can take care of one of the up front 7, but we have nobody to block 18. Well, watch what happens when they run. Sorry about that. Watch what happens when Oklahoma runs this play, and watch what happens to the defense when they get manipulated. So Mueller again calls it out, the signals. That's all just window dressing, motions the guy over to a wing. He leaves, and there goes that middle linebacker, and the middle of the defense is wide open. There is literally nobody in the middle of that defense, right? Again, this is not something Oklahoma does. This is not part of their base package. The Oklahoma State defensive coordinator did not game plan for this play. This is just some unique play. Now, maybe they did run a Wildcat package. Maybe number 4 was their Wildcat quarterback, and Oklahoma State had their Wildcat defensive package ready to go. But because of the operation of that call, they weren't able to run it. Well, how did I get that clip? YouTube is a wonderful place, okay? So what will happen is guys will throw games on YouTube. So how do I get that film? Like, maybe you don't have access to the all 22. You know, a lot of us high school guys don't have access to the college game film, the college coach's copy of the game film, right? So we don't have access to the all 22, but we have access to the TV version via YouTube. So what you can do is you can download this open broadcaster software, OBS Studio. If you just Google OBS Studio, open broadcaster software, you'll be able to download this onto your computer, and it will allow you to record your desktop. So that's a way that you can download any game that you see on YouTube into your Huddle account and be able to break it up and go. So how did we incorporate this into our offense? Okay, so for example, we wanted to come out in this formation, this empty formation. Now, we did have empty as a formation on our offense, but there were certain rules with the empty that we ran, and it was never where that the tailback was number 3 in the empty. He was always going to be number 4 in the empty. So this is not a formation we ran, okay? This is not any kind of a play that we have in our offense where, you know, the F is going to run the vertical, X is going to run the dig route, Y is going to run that, you know, crossing route. We didn't have anything like this in the offense. But it's essentially, you know, a field level flood with a crossing route. And I just think this is extremely problematic for the defense to cover. But it's not something that's part of our base package. So we just put this in empty, okay? Didn't run it all year long. Practiced it once a week, every week, as part of our unique one-word plays, but didn't run it all year long. Hadn't run it. Well, we get to the playoffs. We're in the first round of the playoffs, and we find ourselves trailing 27-13 with 2 minutes and 30 seconds left in the game. So we got to score twice in 2 minutes, okay? So first time we've run this all year long is week 9 of a 9-game season. We're in the playoffs, hadn't run it all year long, didn't show it. And as you can see, on 2nd and 6, with just over 2 minutes to go in the game, we need a big play because we got to go from the minus 33 and score, get the onside kick, score again to try to have a chance in this ball game. So we call this play. Again, hadn't called it all year long. This is week 9. And the kids execute the play to perfection. They don't cover the vertical route, and we get a big play, okay? Now, if a quarterback had a little stronger arm, we would have scored here, okay? And maybe we would have a better shot. Now, we did score about 3 plays later, and we just didn't get the onside kick. So we ended up losing 27-20. But I just think that's a quick, easy way to create plays that aren't in your offense. Now let's talk about not a repeat play, not a mirrored play, but a play that is in your offense. Why would you want a one-word that? Well, these plays are in your offensive structure, but they get a little wordy. Maybe because of tags, maybe, you want to add a motion to a base play. You want to run a base play, but you want to tell one individual kid to do something different. 222 down, rip, load. So I don't know, you want to motion one guy, but you want to load, the fullback on something where, those plays tend to get a little wordy, okay? So what you can do is you can put them into a family, into a family of names, okay? So this picture here is an actual picture of Tom Brady's wristband one of the years he was with the Patriots, okay? So this is literally a play call sheet in the West Coast offense style, which is an extremely wordy style. And let's look at just play 33, right? Gun, sprint right, cluster, 66, Utah, Ole, 8 circle. Obviously, part of the problems with the West Coast system is they're going to tell every single person what to do. So these plays tend to get a little bit wordy, right? So gun, sprint right, cluster, 66, Utah, Ole, 8 circle. Maybe we just want to shrink that down a little bit and give it a one-word call, okay? Well, that's one of the benefits, okay? First of all, it allows an offense to become very creative, right? Because maybe some of the things you'd want to do in your base offense, in the base play call, the base structure offense, you'd maybe want to add this window dressing or add that window dressing or maybe adjust this to a kid. But you just don't want to do that because it's just not worth it. Now you can. Now you can be as creative in your base offense as you possibly want, right? It groups the concepts for the offense, but you can change just one kid's thing. So you don't have to change the whole play call. You could just change for that one individual. For example, if you did want to go in rip motion as opposed to belly motion, that deeper motion that we teams run, you want to run jet motion instead. Well, instead of giving that a tag, just give it a one-word name. So when we call 222 down, that's normal behind the quarterback motion. If we call Duncan, well, don't go in belly motion, run 222 down. Don't go in that deep motion, go in flat motion. Something as simple as that, as opposed to 222 down jet. Okay? Something as simple as that, right? And again, it can change that very wordy gun, sprint right, cluster, 66, Utah, Ole, 8 circle into sprinkle. Okay? What are the problems with that? Okay? The problem is you're limited to the plays currently in your offense. Okay? You're not doing anything different. So you're creating a one-word system, but it's not anything different for the defense, okay? You can also have too many moving parts. Once you extend it and create these families and you have these multiple groups of families, and you start getting a lot of moving parts. I'm going to change one guy on this one word. I'm going to change 2 guys on that one word, 3 guys on this one word. Now it can get a little confusing. And you're going to have to teach the players the play before you give them the one-word version. So they have to know the base play, okay? So what do I mean by that? Okay, a perfect example would be in our offense, if we're going to run 2 back, power read into the boundary with an RPO on it, but we also want to run a quick screen or a comet screen to a back to manipulate the defense. For us, that would be breaking fast, Alabama comet cleanse. Breaking is the formation. Fast is telling the F to go in motion across the quarterback's face. Alabama is the power read to the left. Comet tells the quarterback and the receiver there might be a swing screen out to the F. And glance is the RPO into the boundary. That's a lot of words. We had a rule in our offense. We were never going to have a play call that's more than 4 words long. If we needed 5 or more words to communicate that play, to the offense, we were going to one-word it, okay? Well, here's how you do it. You line the kids up in breaking. You tell the F to go in fast motion. You tell the offensive line and the tailback and the quarterback, we're going to run our Alabama run play. You tell the F and the R, hey, there's a potential comet screen out here. So R, you have to look in the pre-snap call, you have to look at that free safety. If that free safety doesn't move, you know you have to block that corner because the ball is going to be thrown to the F. If not, run them off, okay? Quarterback, you're reading pre-snap, you're reading the F. If the F, leaves and rocks down with the F, with the back, that part of the play is dead, okay? If not, throw out to the F. That's the common part. And then the glance is when you're reading the first line defender, if he commits to the tailback and you start taking off and run, the strong safety fits, throw it over his head for a touchdown, okay? So that would be a 5-word play. So we have to present that to the offense. And then we say to the guys, well, fellas, by the time we signal all that in, the play clock expired. So how about instead of calling this breaking fast Alabama comet glance, which you guys just know how to run, why don't we just call this breakfast? Kids are like, all right, no problem, coach. So now we know how to run it, okay? Well, how does the family come into play? Well, now we just want to flip the play. We want to run the mirrored play. Well, we can give that a dinner call, right? Because we're running the play opposite of breakfast, the opposite play from breakfast. What meal is opposite breakfast? It's dinner. So we're going to run this as dinner, and kids get it right away, okay? So right here, again, this is in the playoffs. Now, we had run breakfast. We had run dinner multiple times during the year, okay? So what you're going to notice is we're going to run breakfast here. So we're going to take this back, okay? That's into the boundary. We're going to run him to the field, and you're going to see 3 box defenders leave. Not 1, not 2. 3 box defenders leave. Why? Because we had run him to the field enough that year without the free safety reacting. So the quarterback threw that screen. Now it's a one-on-one block on the perimeter with our kid with the ball on the perimeter. It was a very successful play for us, okay? So they weren't going to allow that to happen. So you're going to see 3 box players leave the box, okay? So we essentially have 1 player blocking 3, and he hasn't touched anybody yet. So now we run power read into the boundary, and I just wish I had done a better job coaching our quarterback, because even though we do gain a yard or 2, you're going to see from the end zone view, if the quarterback had kept the ball, he probably would have walked into the end zone. But again, that's on me as the coach. Obviously, I didn't do a good enough job coaching that kid up during the year, and that is the problem with the read offense, okay? So now, early in the year, like I said, we had run this play a lot. So now the complementary play is dinner, where we're going to run this guy out to the field and then run power read to that. And of course, on this one, he kept it. It's this was earlier in the year. It's probably on the other one. That's why he kept it. Okay. But, hopefully you can see how these unique plays, these family of plays, these mirror plays, and these one-word plays can be easily incorporated into any offense. Fellas, that wraps up my talk for today. I really appreciate you guys spending the time to listen to me today. Again, my email address, kf21wr@gmail.com. My cell phone number is there. My Twitter handle is there. Please follow. I could always use some more followers. And the NZone Football is at NZone Football on Twitter, www.endzonefootball.com. Again, really appreciate you. Coach Bandstra, thank you so much for allowing me this opportunity. And let's go, guys. Score points. Be happy.